So, why did the FBI, CIA, military, police in America kill Mikhail Lesin, the owner of Russia Today? First of all, who is Mikhail Lesin? Mikhail Lesin is appointed by Putin to run the media in Russia. In Russia, things are possibly a little different where they have complete control of the media, and Putin has chosen the Jewish leader Mikhail Lesin to take that role. So that is who he is, and that explains his propaganda and how he covers all sides. Now, he died in the FBI's, well, under the FBI, apparently, because it was like it was ultra suspect. Like, sometimes you kill people, you want them to know that you can kill them. And I see none of the people I'm telling you, I'm showing you are lying to you. Like, they're all telling you Putin's your hero and all this. None of these people are going to talk about this. So, I have, just not here. So you have these guys who say Russia is so great and it's the best ever and they're on our side. But Putin chooses this person to lead people. And all he does, he puts out literally, it's one media outlet and they put out all the talking points on one media outlet because that's all Russia's allowed to have. You can't, the slaves of Russia, the citizens are, they're slaves. So there's one media really that exists, and it's called Russia Today. And their bots change really fast. And when their bots change, the whole channel appears to change. But they cover everything. It's basically like American media, but just the name Russia on it. Now, why is that? That's odd because Mikhail Lesin, his family, Anton Lesin, his son, makes movies in Hollywood like Fury, Dirty Grandpa, Sabotage, Fading Gigolo, Haunt, more. So you've probably heard of Dirty Grandpa, at least. And so, just like, Mossad makes Fight Club movie, you have the same thing. So they're working together. And not only that, there's the Ring of Fire, which is a conglomerate that is American journalists and USA journalists and Russian journalists. And it's like operated in DC. And they all like chummy chum. So my first question would be, did Lesin even die? Was this just like a way to erase him from the public eye as he gets exposed for who he is? I would think a lot of these people would want to hide. Like, you don't see the Rothschild everywhere. They stay hidden. And sometimes they have to remove people from the scene, and I'm not sure always if that's really what goes on. But you have this guy running the media that for years it was liberal. I don't know how long, because I came into this at a certain point and everything seemed somewhat established, possibly. I didn't know to look for establishment dates when I first got around any of this stuff, right? So they were liberal for ever, and then when the alt-right started to come up from the underground, they just switched one day, and all of a sudden all the commenters, or within 1 week, I know it was something like that, but I'm pretty sure it was just as fast as one day. All the top commenters were like, in white genocide, this and that type commenters, and I was like, wait a minute, the liberals, the liberals fucking smoked some crack pipes, and it happened at the same time to pretty much all the media. It was the bomber in France. Which bomber was it? Anyways, I said before, it was either the Jesui Charlie. That was a stabbing. Yeah. So the other bomber that it was linked to moving back to Israel in 9/11, the date of another year, 9/11. That was the theater bombing. What was the name of that theater? But anyways, okay, so that's when this RT made the switch over. It was right about then. David Icke's people, Press for Truth people made a switch about then. And from there on, they were a different group. But in reality, RT always existed on both sides. It just had its liberal presenters and it had its Republican presenters. But the thing is they were actually kind of mixed up as to what liberal and Republican was. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or what, but they just almost switched it. Like in some ways, the Thom Hartman, the liberal, was a Zionist, and I don't know what he's doing now. I know he's in America doing something, but he is a Zionist. He was a Zionist. He might claim he's not now, but it's like it's the low-key propaganda below him that makes him the Zionist, because he talks about them having rights and stuff like this. In weird ways that only Republicans would ever talk about. And the whole thing's a deception, just to think that someone who just stole your land has a right. That's like you're totally skipping past the initial discussion every single step of the way. They have to make it seem legit for long enough for them to have their children there, so that they can then say, hey, the religion we made for you says, children don't pay for the sins of the fathers. So it's like, hey, like we've been on your property for 60 days, so now I legally live here. That's the name of the game. Generally they just like genocide the peoples, but apparently they have a hard time. There's a lot of Arabs, so it's hard to just go in there and slice them all down with swords. They're just standing in the way like it's like chopping through bamboo versus through grass. It's a little harder than usual. But it seems suspect. Why would they kill him? FBI seems to be playing a game where they want you to think the Russians own the world. And the Russians don't own the media in America, and he's not like, his link isn't, it's the same thing our owners are. It's the same thing Israel owners are. So calling them Russians does not do anything, and killing their leaders probably does not do too much, because another one gets put in place. Can they even die? I've never seen someone die, first of all, but I've never seen one of them die, for sure. How do they control everything? Like, once you realize they control everything, you start asking questions like, can they even die when they claim they're dead? Are they immortal beings? There's something else, that's for sure. There's definitely something else. The humans didn't come up with all this stuff. I'm not buying this story. That every story's a lie to some extent. So I have to resort to thinking other things might be possible. So the owner of RT makes anti-Western propaganda that's pretty much, for a long time, I thought it was just liberal. But then they switched to having Republican as well. And then barely any liberal. They're doing that. They're also even running Hollywood. They're running a studio in DC called Ring of Fire, along with media pundits in America who are famous names. And they killed just one guy. And they do it like to show you. Maybe he said something wrong or something. Who knows? But the story doesn't add up, because if they were aware of these people enough to think they should kill them, then they should be aware that they're a different type of, it's not the Russians. They can't put out propaganda saying it's the Russians, because that would cause some real issues if you would attack the wrong people like you always do. These are the people who control all the media, and every time one of these alt-righters come up, they start talking about Russia's Emperor Putin and Lord and Savior Trumpstein, and they have all these crazy ideas that these people are going to help us. And at the end of the day, I've never met any of these people, but I can tell you one thing, they're lying to me. I know that much. I'm not totally brain dead and comatose. So why would they lie? Why are they lying? How are they lying? Like, what type of people, like, can just constantly lie and think that's, like, some sort of great lifestyle to live? Some sort of new age you, new and improved you. But the people who own the media are all the same people. You also got to start questioning, how does that happen? You noticed in that video I did that he acted weird when I got out there. And started asking him how he controls everything. Because they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. Apparently not. I think that was my first time. But from now on, it's like the only question that matters. It's just like Alex Jones' bloodline. Like, of course it matters. It matters so much. Because it matters to them. Because it matters to them. It doesn't have to matter to you. I don't care so much about gold and stuff. I mean, I like jewelry, and I'm allergic to cheap stuff. Some of the cheap stuff looks really cool, unfortunately. I don't know what makes cheap metals like allergic to human skin, but I don't think you really need to care too much about useless stuff like gems and rare minerals unless you have a use for it. Then again, that's kind of a bad thing to compare, because you have that leads to another discussion about how did they know the rare minerals were rare to begin with. Like, that's a new question that's come to my mind recently. It's like, how do they know? How did they know, like, if the world existed 3,000 years ago, that gold was going to be useful? And today it's literally useful in technology and stuff. It's not just some cool, shiny stuff there's only a little bit of. Like, they were keeping technology under wraps for years. I have no doubt they were doing that. They probably stole technology from us. I mean, they're doing it now. Of course they've been doing this. They never stopped doing it. It was a lot easier to do before we have what we have today. Sometimes you wonder why this guy might be killed. What did he do that was really out of the propaganda box? He really wasn't that far out of the propaganda box. It was like propaganda. So, what did he actually do? I mean, literally, RT's still running, and there's just a new person there, and there's still the ring of fire, it looked like when I looked it up. And I'm sure, Anton is still making movies, is still living in LA, Hollywood. And of course, Lesin's father was something to do with the military, but maybe not too much. So it's like, it's all the same people in a lot of these key vital positions. And they just don't want to tell you that. The alt-right don't want to tell you that. The alt-right wants to lie about this stuff. Putin's your hero. And it's like, no, they're all liars. That's why it's famous. That's why it's allowed to get that big. Why did he die? Who knows? Maybe he didn't. Maybe he just needed to be safe. Maybe his life really was threatened by something and he had to go and hide. That's not unheard of happening. I'm sure it's happened once in history before, at least. Probably a lot more. But you got to watch out for these people who are saying that Russia Today is your heroes, because Russia Today's propaganda is back and forth. It's everything. They cover it all from all angles. It's just like American media on repeat, which is American media is just American media on repeat. The underground alternative media is just American media on repeat. Even Alex Jones has you like, I hate Miley Cyrus. Her videos are stupid. Go there and tell her how stupid her videos is in the comment. And tell everyone else in the comments how stupid it is. And then they go there and give them millions of hits. And then Jesse Ventura makes some TV show for them to watch. And they're probably marrying into, like, his kids, Lesin's kids, are probably marrying into other people in Hollywood. Because that's what they do in Hollywood. It's magic. They do cult rituals, blood, like the Purim ritual. But that's about it. I can't say it. You got to keep saying it. People don't seem to get it. People don't seem to get it. The fucking RT is them. It's right there. The new guy, I can't dig up much information on him. When I first looked, maybe now you can find something on him, but it really doesn't matter. It's still Russia today. It's not, it didn't change. Putin didn't beat the guy he hired. Putin hired him, then figured it out. Okay. None of them are saying that. None of them are even telling you about this story. They're completely avoiding it because America worked together, and that's the government media. They worked together to kill this person. It says, that the English agents had said that he was beaten, and or ex-English agent, like there ever is, said he had been beaten, and definitely looked like foul play. Said there's a baseball bat near there, and then they didn't notify anyone who it was who died for a while. Like they're clearly like several things exist that are just like, yeah, wait a minute, like they're just spitting in your face. Like when they don't tell a person that you've died, like, and they know you've died, they're trying to like clean up a scene before you get there. If a world leader dies in your hotel and it's an accident, you would hurry up and contact them and be like, yeah, hey, sorry, dude, get over here now. Now, if you needed to stall them so you could clean up a murder scene and plant something else, plant fake evidence, then you would want to stall on talking to these people. So it really does. It's at least set up, made to look real, like it's a spit in the face hit. But again, we can't even prove he died, really, and that wasn't staged. And it says you can look it up anywhere. Who invented it? Right here on Google, we're looking at Wikipedia. You know, yeah. Mikhail Lesin was a Russian political figure, media executive, and advisor to President Vladimir Putin. In 2006, he was awarded the Order for the Merit to the Fatherland, one of Russia's highest state decorations to civilians. So, Putin loved this dude. Loved him. And that's not me saying, that's him, right? And then you have the following articles for proof. April 16, 2019. Russian Jewish media executives die suddenly in D.C. hotel. So that's Times of Israel. And you also have Business Insider talking about more into Anton Lesin, his children, his child who moved into Hollywood. It says, it's titled, How Putin's Media Czar May Have Funded Brad Pitt's New Movie. Where did I get that accent from? I guess maybe that's just how I say Brad Pitt. I gotta see it, Brad Pitt movie. Anyways, how Putin's media czar may have funded Brad Pitt's new movie. So, that's more of what's going on in Hollywood. Just like I said, through the blood mixing, they're also apparently paying the other people to make their own films. So they're basically in charge of those people. More like a studio. It's like a studio banker. A banker who sells you studios. So they're in charge of the studio banker business. Just like they're in charge of the book publishing houses and the comic book publishing companies that are best known, and Google and Facebook and MySpace partly, and MeWe and that other app. So they buy into all this and they take it all over, and it's hard to tell who's who and who's not, because there's just so many of them. You start to realize that, wow, there's a lot. Like, they're all over the place, even though sometimes you don't see that, but they're everywhere. How do they control everything like that? It's not just what they say. It's not just what they say.